Hey up troops, Littleton here again with another video, and I've got something very important to say to you. If you are a lower elo player, there's nothing wrong with that, or if you're very new to the game, there's also nothing wrong with that. You need to check your sensitivity. There's two people who I've played Siege with in the last couple of years, more than probably two, but two that I know of who I'm going to name and shame. Morgan and Spar. Both play this game, and we're lower elo players. They won't mind me saying that, I hope they won't mind me saying that anyway. After reviewing the Sens, they were playing on 50 Sens, which is like default Sens, but if you're on sort of 400-800 DPI, that's crazy fast. We had a look at the Sens, or they had a look at the Sens, adjusted the Sens, and now Morgan and Spar will both say they're miles better players. Now they've adjusted the Sens to what's tailored for them, not what the game gives you as default. Not only that, there's a ton of other things you can do to find your Sens. I'm not a fan of when people say, oh, I'm going to play Shaiko Sense, or I'm going to play Bolo Sense. That's their sense because they find it works for them. Find what works for you, not other people, and there's easy ways to do that. So, let's talk sense. Let's talk sense, get it? I've literally just made it up. Let's talk sense and actually make some sense out of everybody's sense. Fingers crossed. Let's get stuck into it. Okay, sensitivity, where do we start? It's a big topic because it literally affects how you play. So the first thing to do, in my opinion, is go into your settings, go to options, and go to controls, and look at what your current sensitivity is. If you're on PC, these two numbers should be the same, in my opinion. If you're on console, you may have a higher vertical sensitivity because you want to be able to pull down faster to control recoil. On PC, these two numbers should be the same. Now, this is where it gets confusing really early doors. Standard sensitivity is 1 to 100, okay? What you can do in the game files of the game is you can adjust a multiplier, which means that instead of 1 to 100, it equals a different number. So for me, the multiplier that I have on my settings in-game, in the in-game files, means that my sensitivity, 1 to 100, is actually 1 to 10. So if I was to stop at 43 or 44, that would actually be 4.4. Are you with me? So if I go to 81, that's actually 8.1. Which would be essentially 8, which on the standard sense is down at 8. Are you with me? So even though my sense is 81, I've changed the settings in the game file, so that means my sense is actually 8.1. Now, yes, I probably could just play normally and put it on 80. Sorry, not 1. I probably could just put it on 80, which would be 8, and then I could just change the settings and have default settings and play 8-8. But there's something in the back of my mind that tells me I need it to be faster than 8, but slower than 9. And 81 is just where I sit, okay? So I can do another video maybe explaining how to change the game files to change that multiplier. I think the multiplier I use is 0.002 or something along those lines. But just when you're looking at my sense, it's 1 to 10. Like the 1 to 100 scale actually equals 1 to 10. So again, if I was going on 84, that'd be 8.4 on the normal scale. On the normal scale, you start off at 50-50, okay? And if you were to play 50-50, that is insanely fast. No, unless you play on like 10 DPI, no one in the world plays on 50-50. It's way too fast, okay? So have a look at your sense. You'll start on 50-50 if you haven't already changed it. And you need it way lower than you think you do. So the mouse pad that I have is a Artisan XL. And it's about 50 centimeters across, okay? So it's quite a big mouse mat compared to small office-sized mouse mats. Now, I'll give you an idea of what my sense looks like. So when I'm in the middle, you can see that if you look at the compass at the bottom of the screen, you can see I'm facing west currently. I'm going to put my mouse in the middle of my mouse mat and take it to the edge to the right-hand side, okay? So my mouse is in the middle of my mouse mat. I'm going to take it right the way to the edge. And you can see there, I go just over or just on 180 degrees. So let me go again. Again, I can only estimate roughly where the middle of the mouse mat is, but we'll turn again. I go about 180 degrees. Now, the reason I do that, and that's a slow sense, by the way. You don't need to follow me. I'm an old man. I've got slow reactions. I can't move too quickly, right? The reason I have a slow sense, in my opinion, you don't ever need to move 360 in half a swipe of your mouse mat. If you're, let's say someone peeks you from blue and you're walking through lounge like this, yeah? And you get shot from blue right now. The first thing you're going to do is turn 180 degrees. You're never ever going to need to turn more than 180 degrees, right? Because if someone was peeking us from garage here, we would look to our left, right? Which is less than 180 degrees. And if we were here and we would look to our right, you wouldn't turn, if someone started shooting you from this soft wall, you wouldn't look like that, would you? You'd look to your left. So I don't think I ever need to move more than 180 degrees in a swipe of my mouse mat. And I feel that gives me more precision in that area. It pains me when I see people who have like a sense where they move like one swipe of the mouse mat and they do 3 360s. Why? When are you ever going to need to do 360s apart from at the end of a round where you want to show off a little bit? So, for me, if you're on 400 DPI or 800 DPI, and I'll come on to DPI in just a second, start at 1212 and go from there. And play, if you're on 400 DPI, go to 1212, and if you think it's a little bit too slow or a little bit too fast, move it up and down accordingly. If you're on 800 DPI, put your Sens to 1212 and do exactly the same thing. Now, next question is, what is DPI? So DPI is essentially the sensitivity of your mouse within the mouse's settings, not the game settings. So DPI stands for dots per inch, I believe, and it essentially means that with a certain amount of movements, how many dots per inch are you going to move across the screen, or something along them lines, right? I'm not a tech expert. Essentially means what speed is your mouse, how sensitive is your mouse. If I'm on 400 DPI, I'm moving my mouse around with a mouse mat like this. If I move this up to 4000, I mean, look at that. It's crazy. If I move that back down to 400, it's back to normal, which is what I like. Now, a lot of people play 400 DPI, a lot of people play 800 DPI. The first thing that you need to check on your mouse is, does your mouse have software? I use the G Pro X Superlight, therefore we get a G Hub through Logitech, which does have software. If you use a Razer or a Corsair or a HyperX or all that good stuff, they'll all have software as well. Make sure your mouse is set to 400 or 800 DPI, in my opinion. Now, there's people who play 1200 DPI, there's people who play 2400 DPI because they feel like it's more accurate. But the higher your DPI on your mouse, the lower that your in-game sense is going to be. Because you can't have your mouse super sensitive and your in-game settings super sensitive, otherwise your mouse is going to be all over the place. So you're either going to have your DPI, the higher you have your DPI, that kind of works. The higher your DPI, the lower your game is, the lower your sense is in-game. That was a struggle, okay? Higher DPI, lower sense in-game. Lower DPI, higher sense in-game. If your mouse doesn't have software like G-Hub like this, you'll probably have a button on somewhere on the mouse, usually like underneath the wheel, somewhere in between the two buttons, usually. And that you'll be able to scroll through the DPI settings on your mouse when you're using that. Now, if keep clicking the DPI button and keep moving your mouse until you feel that your mouse really slows down, and that'll be the lowest DPI setting on the mouse, that'll generally be 400 DPI. Now, what I do is I have a setting, so on my mouse here, I don't have any other DPI settings. You can add more DPI settings, and then you can press a button on the bottom of this mouse, which will then flick between the different settings on the DPI. I don't ever want to come off 400 DPI, so I only ever have that one DPI set on this mouse. Set yourself to 400 or 800, in my opinion. This is a bit bright, I apologize. Right, the next thing you want to do is get onto your Windows settings, okay? Go down to here, click settings, this little cog here, right? Come up here and type in mouse. Not mouse, mouse. Mouse settings. That'll bring up this, okay? Then you want to go over to the right-hand side and click additional mouse options. If you don't have it full screen, it'll be further down the bottom there. Additional mouse options. And you get this little pop-up here. Go over to pointer options, and please make sure that this setting here, enhanced pointer precision, ensure that this is off. You don't want this ticked. What this does is Windows senses the faster that you move your mouse, the faster it'll move it for you. The slower that you move your mouse, the slower it'll move it for you. It's mouse acceleration. So if I was to move my mouse across the screen slowly like this, Windows would slow it down because it thinks I want to be like a little bit more specific with where I'm pointing the mouse. And if all of a sudden I'm going to all four corners on my screen, Windows will speed that up because it thinks I want to be faster with moving the mouse. It does that in game. So this setting here, if this was ticked, it doesn't matter whether Siege is loaded or not, it'll still do that in game as well. So if you're doing a lot of fine sort of movements in game and you're only moving a little bit here and there, Windows will slow that speed down. And if you're doing a lot of flicks and moving around, Windows will speed that up. You don't want it on. It's not consistent. It doesn't help your aim. You want to make sure that your sensitivity is the same all the time so you can get used to it and learn that muscle memory. Now, when it comes to in-game, yes, we've got the shooting range, and we'll come on to that shortly, and we're going to get an advanced shooting range very shortly. Before we go any further, shoot the jukebox. It's literally the most annoying thing in the entire game. Get it out. So, yes, there's the shooting range, which we'll come on to, like I say, and there is an update to the shooting range coming in Year 8 Season 2, which is going to be really good. However, you can still do bits of aim training in just a custom game like this. If you want to make sure you've got consistency, practice going between door frames. By the way, just so you know, my aim is terrible. So don't be like, oh God, his sense is shocking. Just keep practicing going between the door frame. Aim for the edge of the door frame and the edge of the door frame. And listen, right, we're not in Pro League. At no point is any normal player going to be able to just stand here and be able to flick to the side of that door frame every time. It's not, I don't, Shaiko could probably just about do that. They know the Sens unbelievably well, obviously, but your average standard silver, gold, plat, emerald player is not going to be able to do. So if you're doing what I just did there and going, oh my God, I'm terrible at this game. Normal people can't do that. Like, just flick between that. But you can improve. You can just look at these two skulls above there. Just practice going between the two. Walking around the map, looking at the edge of the stage. Try and hit the two red things on the edge. And what you'll find is if when you're doing this, if you're aiming from the left one and you go to the right one and you end up over here, and then you go back to the left one and you end up over here, and vice versa, you know that your sensor's too high because you're going from here, you're going too far over. So you need to slow it down a bit to go from here to here. And again, if you're going from the left to the right, if you go from here and you end up here every time, consistently going like not far enough, you know your sensor isn't high enough. But this isn't something that you find out in 2 minutes. This is something that you've probably got to spend a decent amount of time just getting used to and trying out. And keep using these ideas as you're walking around the map. So let's find the next thing, the edge of the barricade at the top there. So, and if you find yourself going over or shorter, adjust your sensors required. So now, I mean, if I completely change my sense and give you an example, right, let's go really low. Let's half my sense from 8 down to 4. Apply changes. Oh man, it feels so weird. And now let me try and hit these stage things again. Oh man, I'm having to move so far. But you can see that I'm going from here and I'm getting to like here and having to go again. So when I'm like normally when I got to here on my old sense, I'd be over here now because it was double the sense, right? Whereas trying to do this, it's really, I'm moving so much further, it doesn't feel right. I am much more comfortable on a slower sense though. So if I was to do this again, and I can only move my sense up to 10, which is now 8, so it's only 2 above what I was. So it's, but, I mean, you can see, so there's a perfect example. I've moved up to 10, and you can see straight away the 2 shots I did were way over the top. So that sense is too fast for me, right? I'm not doing that on purpose, I promise. Every single time I overshot that, so I know that's too fast for me. So let's bring that down to controls. I was on 81. Let's bring that down to 7. Let's try again. So you can already see that's much more consistent. I don't feel that's quite fast enough. And obviously I play on 8 or 8.1 because I'm really pathetic, but don't worry about that. 8.1. Apply changes. And we're back to normal. Oh, it feels so much better. So, there you go. I'm running out of ammo here. Walk around the map, picking a bits of aim training to do as you're going. Find 2 spots to flick from and see how you feel. 2 pictures. And just see how you feel after time. We're out of ammo, so we've had to move on to the pistol. However, this is a good point, this. Think about your mouse mat size. If you're playing on a tiny mouse mat that's this big and it's only giving you a small amount of area to move that mouse around, you're going to be less precise. The bigger the mouse mat, the more precise you can be. Unless you feel comfortable playing on a crazy fast sense where you can move in this area, right? In this tiny area. Like I say, if I do a full sweep of my mouse mat, I do about 360. Half a sweep, 180. But I have a fairly big mouse mat. So try and think about your mouse mat size. Maybe you need to look at getting a bigger mouse mat. Maybe you've got a desk pad, therefore you don't need to worry about it. But also, yeah, think about what's on the bottom of your mouse when it comes to skates. If you've got like glass feet and things like that, it's going to be a little bit faster. You might want to turn the sense down. If you've got standard mouse feet on a mouse that isn't a top of the range gaming mouse, which is absolutely fine, by the way, then you might want to look at speeding that sense up a little bit because they won't glide quite as fast. Same goes for the mouse pad surface. This artisan mouse pad has got quite a glidey surface, so that if I was playing on like an old style sort of whatever material it is that's on an old mouse mat, it won't be anywhere near as fast as this, and I would probably be playing on a higher sense. The next thing you've got to think about is your ADS speed. So we've already done our sort of general sense, which is non-ADS, and then now you need to think about your ADS speed. Now, this is where it gets complicated. So let's go into controls, here, and mouse ADS sensitivity. Now, you can play advanced, or you can play standard. Standard is 1-to-1, essentially. And advanced is where you can change every magnification difference. So your 1x is 1.5, 2x, ACOG, 3x is the DMR scope, I believe. I'm not sure what the 4x is. What's the 4x? Is that... No. What's the 4x? I'm not sure. Anyway, Glass maybe. And then we've got 5x, which is Cali, I think. And then 12x, which is zoomed in Cali. So, I mean, really, you're only going to need to worry about these sort of first 3 or 4 to begin with anyway. So what you need to think about is, do you want your ADS sense to be 1-to-1? And what 1-to-1 means is it matches what your general sensitivity is. So just to talk again about my general sensitivity, you can see at the bottom of the compass I'm facing west. 180 swipe on my mouse mat. Mouse mat. I'm now facing east. So it does about 180 degrees. Now, when I ADS and do that exact same thing, middle of the mouse mat, swipe it to the right. I'm now at the edge of the mouse mat. I only get 90 degrees, a little bit over 90 degrees. So my ADS is not 1-to-1. It's just under half. So again, 180 swiping my mouse mat, 180 degrees. 1 half swiping my mouse mat was ADS, just over 90 degrees. So my ADS is not 1-to-1. If you're good at, say, Valorant or CS, or you're coming from a game like that where you don't really ADS and everything's 1-to-1, then probably go 1-to-1. For me, I like having more precise. Like, this doesn't feel precise enough, whereas there's more precision in being able to have a slower sense when ADS. So, for example, I was watching one of Braction's videos on sensitivity, actually. Big up Braction. And Braction was talking about Shaiko's sense and the way that Shaiko has his sense set up. And it's an interesting topic. So what I will do is, if I was going to be pushing up blue and I was ADSing, I would ADS this whole way, right? I would ADS up here. Oh, I've just found a visual bug. The texture on the edge of that wall is... Can you shoot through it? Yeah, you can still shoot through it. It doesn't block bullets. But there's a visual bug on the end of there. You can see there. There's just a bit of something on the edge. Anyway, we got distracted. If I was walking up blue, I would walk up blue like this, ADS. All the way up. And if I was going to peek red, I'd probably still keep ADSing. And if I got... Anytime I change an angle, I'd probably still ADS. Shaiko plays an incredibly slow ADS speed. So if Shaiko came up blue, he would have to un-ADS every time he turned the corner. So as he was coming around here, he would ADS on this corner. Nothing there. And then ADS here. And as he got to the top, he would have to un-ADS and then go like this. And un-ADS and then go like this. Un-ADS and go like this. Because the ADS speed that he has is so slow, you can't stay ADS around the map. I said ADS a lot there. But it's up to you. Again, like I've said before, it's sensitivity is all just what's comfortable to you. Shoot the radio. Sensitivity is all just what's comfortable to you. I don't know why I landed on what I landed on. It just felt right to have a slower ADS speed so I could be more precise when ADSing. And more, like, I can move faster when not ADSing. It just felt right. But again, it's comfortable. You've got to get into a map. You've got to find out what your general sensitivity feels like first, and then start messing around with the scopes. So what I recommend you do if you want to try and find an ADS sensitivity, or start somewhere with finding an ADS sensitivity, is look at this website, which is Shadow Legacy ADS Calculator. The reason it's called that is because the way ADS was calculated changed in the season when 0 came out with Shadow Legacy. So my old ADS sensitivity was 50, which I believe was the default ADS sensitivity. It just felt right for me. So then I would type your default sensitivity in, and it'll tell you now, according to the new sensitivity system, what your ADS needs to be. And mine is something along those lines. I think I've tweaked it slightly since then. So 35, 58, 59, 59, 60, 60. 38, 59, 58, 59, 60, 60, something like that. So a quick look. 35, 58, 59. So I have tweaked it slightly since then. However, again, it's just whatever you find comfortable. It's pretty similar to that. 35, 58. Is that right? Was that what he just said on there? Yeah, 35, 58. So it's pretty similar to that. It's what I used back in the day, and it's what I then used when we got to the new ADS system. It's something that I should probably revisit and change up every now and then, just to see if I'm still comfortable with it. But again, ADS sensitivity, it's all what you find comfortable, what comes natural. Here we are in the shooting range, and there's a couple of things we can do here to try and hone sensitivity a little bit. The first thing is using the 4 corners of the crosshair here, okay? Now, what you can do is start at the top and just keep going and see what you find comfortable with. Much like we were talking about the doors in Clubhouse. If you're finding that you're overshooting those, reduce it, and vice versa. If you're not getting far enough, increase it. This side is probably a little bit more beneficial to you. Bring the dummy closer to you, so it's 5 meters. Look elsewhere, and then try and flick to the dummy. And see how many times... I mean, I'm going way over there. Bear in mind, I'm crap, by the way. And just flick around. Now, bear in mind that as of next season, we're going to have a miles better aim trainer in the shooting range. So, trying to sort of go from here... I would have got that if I hadn't. And remember as well, by the way, when it comes to flicking and trying to be snazzy, no silver, gold, plat, emerald player is going to be going like this. I've tabbed out. How have I tabbed out? How's that happened? I've just tabbed out. I've just must press Windows. No player is production values through the roof. No player is going to be able to do that in those ranks, right? To just keep going like this. No one's going to be able to. However, just take your time. Just learn that distance that you need to go. I mean, I haven't given a very good example there, but it's nerve-wracking when I'm recording a video, all right? But yeah, just keep doing that. And see where you get to. Remember, next season, there's going to be a lot more in-depth ways of exercising your aim. But this isn't so much about finding your aim and practicing aim. It's about finding the sensitivity and what's comfortable. So if moving that fast doesn't feel comfortable, if I'm honest, since I've started doing this myself, I feel like I should be a bit lower down. I feel like, what was I, on 81? I feel like I should be down to like, let's go 67. And see how I do now. The problem is with me, the lower I go, it means that now if I got shot in the back, a 180 swipe in my mouse mat now would only take me to there. So if I got shot in the back, I'd have to like really do a full, like, I'd have to put my shoulder out to turn around. Do you know what I mean? It'd be difficult, but I feel like maybe going slower might be the way for me. That's not on my normal sense. That's on 67 or whatever I was on. Now if we move that back to 81, maybe I need to tweak mine. Maybe this has been a good realization thing. Not sure. I'll have to do a bit of playing around. That's exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't feel right, you don't feel comfortable, just practice and see what feels good. So there you go, just some food for thought on finding sensitivity. And I even thought about it myself when I was doing those tests there. I was thinking, you know what, maybe I need to rejig my sensitivity. I played the game for 3 years now. Maybe I need to do some sort of fine-tuning of where my sense should be now. I've got a different mouse than when I started. I've got a different mouse mat than when I started. 3 years older than when I started. Different feet on my mouse than when I started. Maybe I need to review my sense as well. I hope that's helped. I hope you find your sense. I hope you find some sense and some common sense and change your sense to the sense that works for you. Get that on a quote. Right. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate you. Those who are still here. Random word. We haven't come up with that today, have we? Let's go with biscuit. I've got a biscuit here. Biscuit if you got this far in the video. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you, man. And I'll see you next time. Cheers.